Everyone, we have quite a few problems on the help board, so I'm going to get right to it. So let's start with lesson 47, number 4. And hopefully I can work through these fairly quickly. Okay, so this one is a chemical mixture problem. So we'll just do it right over here on the side of these problems. Hopefully you can hear me and everything. Okay, so this is number 4, lesson 47. Hold on one second, I have to make my pen a little bit smaller. Sometimes it's really fat. Okay, hopefully that works. Okay, so lesson 47, number 4, the formula is H2. So I write them down like this, S and O. And then we're going to need the total column too. So it's S1O3. So we're going to multiply each of these numbers by how much they weigh. So hydrogen weighs 1. Sulfuric acid weighs 32. So we're going to take this one times 32. And the oxygen weighs 16. So we're going to multiply those together. So we get 2, 32, and 48. We add up the total and we get 82. They tell us what is the total weight. So that's what we don't know. We don't know the total weight, but they give us that the oxygen in the quantity. Okay, so the other thing wasn't sulfuric acid. It was S, salt, I guess. So that they gave us that the oxygen weighed 192. So that'd be 192. We would cross multiply and then divide by 48. And so we're going to get X equals 328. I did it all in the calculator. I took 82 times 192 and then divided by 48, and I got 328 grams. All right, the first one is done. Okay, let's go to 47b. These are fun once you get the hang of them. So it's the 6th root of 9 with the square root of 3 underneath the 6th root. So the first thing you want to do is you want to change it into fractional exponents like this. The other thing you want to do is try to make the bases the same. So we can write 9 with the base of 3. So that would be 3 squared. And we're going to write this as a fractional exponent, which is 3.5. Remember, the number on the seat goes on the bottom. So then I'm going to add these two fractions together. So it's going to be 3 and 5 halves. I just added 2 plus 1 half and got 5 halves to the 1/6 power. And your final answer is 3 to the 5/12. All right, I don't need to go slow because you can rewind these or slow them down. Okay, number 5. 5 is a distance problem. We can always count on Chad to have a distance problem for us. So first he took a chariot. So this is the distance in the chariot. Then this is the distance walking. And the total distance is 48. We know that the time in the chariot plus the time walking was equal to 7. The rate walking was 4, and the rate in the chariot was 8. So our equation is we're going to add these two distances up to equal 48, and we're going to change it, distance of the chariots, rate chariot, time chariot, plus rate walking, time walking equals 48. All right, so we're going to plug those in. I'm going to solve this one for t sub c, so it's 7 minus t sub w. So there we go. Rate chariot is 8. Time in the chariot is 7 minus t sub w. The rate walking is 4. The time walking is time walking, and that equals 48. Distribute this all through. So we get 56 minus 8 time walking plus 4 time walking equals 48. And we get 56 minus 4 time walking equals 48. I guess I'm finishing this for you. Negative 4 time walking equals negative 8. So the time walking is 2, which means that the time in the chariot was 5. They want to know the distance in the chariot, distance walking. So the distance walking would be the rate walking, time walking. Time walking is 2, rate walking is 4. So the distance walking is 2 times 4, which is 8. And the distance riding in the chariot would be 5 times 8, which is 40. We want to put our units on there. I just have to see what they are. It's kilometers per hour. So kilometers, no, it's just kilometers because it's distance. Kilometers. Okay, let's go on to the next problem. So we did all the ones for that lesson. Yay. Okay, lesson 48. Erase that. Lesson 48, we have quite a few. 48, the first one we have is 10. 48, 10. So it's another one of these kind of problems which are apparently a problem, child. So we have 2, and then it's the cube root of 2. So we have 1/2. We change that into fractional exponent. Remember, there's a 2 there. It goes on the bottom. So this is going to be 2 times 2 to the 1/3 power. We're going to add those up. So this would be 1. So it's going to be 3 over 3, right? So it's going to be 4/3 to the 1/2 power. And we get 2 to the, look, this crosses out. And it's going to be to the 2/3 power. I know those are interesting, aren't they? Okay, number 12. Really similar. All right, number 12 is the square root of 8 and then the cube root of 2. So we're going to make these into fractions. Whatever's on the seat goes on the bottom. We're going to make these bases the same. It's a really important part of these problems. So that's going to be 2 cubed is the same as 8. And then this is going to be 2 to the 1/3 power. All right, we're going to add those together. So it's going to be 10/3 to the 1/2 power. The 2 will go into the 10 5 times, and so we get 2 to the 5/3 power. All right, the next one, number 18. All right, a trig problem. So 18 is, we have a triangle. I'm just going to freehand them to save time. So we have a 4, an A degrees, a B degrees. These are a little bit different. We haven't done too many of these. A 6 and an, oops, that 6 just did not make it in there. A 6 and an X. Find angle A. All right, so A is a problem because if we do if we do sine, which would be opposite over hypotenuse, we don't have 2 of the variables. If we do cosine, which is, oh, look at that, we can do cosine. What are we supposed to find A? Okay, I did it a different way the last time I did it. Okay. So we can do the cosine of A. So we can say the cosine of A is the adjacent, which is 4 over 6. Now to get the angle, now this is kind of different. Anytime you want to get the angle, you're basically taking the inverse cosine of both sides. Look at this. Okay, if we can think of it kind of as a negative exponent, these are going to cancel out. So we get A degree equals the inverse cosine of 2/3. So in our calculator, which I have to do now, you do second cosine of 2 divided by 3, and we get, oops, 48.19. So A degrees equals 48.19. There you go. All right, next one is 26. 26 is a crazy figure. All right, I'll show you how to do these. There's different ways you can do this, but I'm going to freehand it, so sorry about that. You know how my drawings are. So we have, it's kind of like a rectangle-ish thing, right? And then we have half a circle chopped out of it. And it has a radius of 4, and the length of the rectangle thing is 12. And they're showing you that it's a rectangle. So we know that this height is going to be 8 because if we straighten this out, we're going to get 4 there and then 4 there. So what I did was I found the area of the rectangle thing, which is 9 times 12. And then from that, I subtracted off a half a circle, which is pi r squared. R is 4. and it's a half of a circle. So I chopped off half the circle, and you basically just put that in your calculator. So I did 96 minus, this is going to be 16 divided by 2 is 8 pi. And when we do that, we get 283.47. No, that's not true. Take that back. It's coming up. We have to take, that's the area of the base right here, but we have to take it times 4, and then we need to take it times 1/3 because it is a cone, and cones we take 1/3 of that area. So we put this all in our calculator, we get 94.51, and our units would be its volume, so it's going to be inches cubed. All right, when you're finding cone volume, it's the base times the height times 1/3, and that's how we get the answer. There's another one like that coming up. Okay, lesson 49. 49A and B. Okay, find the equation of the line shown. Okay, we all kind of hate these. All right, so this is lesson 49A. All right, so you have to find 2 points on this line by looking through where they cross the grid lines. I'm looking, and the points that I'm finding are 2, -6, the bottom of the line, and then the top of the line, which looks like it's at 6, 4. They're the only grid lines that it looks like they cross. So we have 6, 4. So in order to find the equation of a line, you need to find your slope and you need to find your b, because we're going to use y equals mx plus b. We leave the x and y in because that stands for the infinite amount of points that live on the line, but we do need to find the m and the b. So to find the slope, we're going to get 4 minus a -6 over 6 minus 2. So that's going to be 10 over 4, so our slope is 5/2. So then we take one of the points, let's use the positive point, and we're going to put it into y equals mx plus b. We're going to put in the m, we're going to put the y, and we're going to put the x and find the b. So we have y is 4, m is 5/2, x is 6, plus b. So we get 4 equals, ooh, my 6's and b's look alike, 30/2, ooh, this works out good, 15, right, plus b. So we're going to get b equals -9. And if you look at the picture, that looks, or -11. If you look in the picture, that looks about right. Then for your final step, you put your m and your b back in, and that is your answer. So you get y equals m, which is 5/2, x minus b, which is -11. So always check with your picture to make sure your b looks approximately where it would cross the y-intercept, y-axis if it continued. Okay, so that was A. We have to do B. Here we go. All right, so this is 49B. So we have some parallel lines going on. Am I right here? 49B, okay. Some parallel lines, may as well draw some straight lines. Parallel lines cut by a transversal and then made into a triangle. All right, so we have all that. We have a right angle here. There's a couple of these that you guys asked for, 100. This is N. This is 114 degrees. All right, so we need to find this angle in the triangle. These are parallel lines, so if we can find this one right here, it's the same as this one up here. So we take 180 and we subtract from it 114. So we get 66. So this angle is 66. Because these are corresponding angles, this is 66 degrees as well. We are supposed to find N. So if you look at 66, opposite is your sine. Remember, SOHCAHTOA, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So we're just going to do, we have the opposite. So we say the sine of 66 degrees equals the opposite, which is N, over hypotenuse, which is 100. In your calculator, you're just going to type in sine of 66 times 100 if we cross multiply, and you get a final answer of 91, which makes sense. Always check to make sure it makes sense. 0.35. Okay, the long side's 100, so it's less than 100. It's not like 2 or something really weird. And there we go. That's your answer to B. Okay, number 5. So we did A, B, and now we're on 5. There's a lot of problems. 5. Oh boy, okay, I didn't do this one ahead of time, so here we go. Let's see, we have some people doing something here. Grant and Bruce were jogging. Grant was 200 yards ahead. So here we go. So 200 yards ahead, and this is the distance of Grant. And then Bruce started running, and so there's the distance of Bruce. Okay, so we write our equation. We're going to get 200 plus the distance of Grant equals the distance of Bruce. Then we're going to split it up. Rate Grant time Grant. Oops, that's a G. Time Grant equals rate Bruce time Bruce. All right, let's see. We got to get some information here that we have. Do we have some speeds? 200 yards ahead, 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, find Bruce's speed if Grant's speed was 240 yards per minute. Okay, so we need to write these down. The time of Grant, this is where it's tricky, equals the time of Bruce, and that equals 10 seconds. And the rate of Grant is 240 yards per minute. We don't usually talk yards per minute. Okay, so we're just going to put that all in. So 200 rate of Grant. Is this my G? My G's are not looking good here, guys. Rate of 200 plus the rate of Grant, which is 240. The time of Grant, since they're both the same, we can get rid of our subscripts, equals the rate of Bruce. We don't know. The time of Bruce is just T again. So we are just going to do a little bit of, whoops, never mind. It's 10. Blah. We're going to put 10 in for that, not T. We know what it is. It's 10 seconds. 10. We don't know the rate of Bruce. His is also 10. We are going to get, if we add these all together, we're going to get 2,200 equals 10 rate of Bruce, and we get the rate of Bruce equals 220 yards per minute. Okay, but let me just check that. I feel like I did something wrong. 240 times 10 equals 2, okay, that's not quite right. Okay, it's 2,600. And so we're going to get 260 yards per minute. All right, so we got that one done. Let's go to the next one, which is 11. All right, another one of these. I'm doing them though because it seems like it's a common problem. The cube root of 9, and this is the square root of 3. So we do this, it's going to be 1/3. Make your 9 have the same base as what is under the radical. So this is going to be 3 and 5/2, and this is to the 1/3 power. And so we get 5 and 5/6. Okay, I'm getting quick, speedy at those guys. Okay, next one. That was 11. Now we're going to go on to 13. 13 is a radical problem as well, but it has variables, x squared, y cubed, and this is xy to the 4th. Okay, we're going to write these to the half power, x squared, y cubed to the 1/2 power, and this is xy to the 4th to the 1/2 power. We're going to multiply our exponents, so it's x, y to the 3/2, x to the 1/2, y, the 2 goes into the 4 2 times, so it's going to be 2. Then we're going to add up the exponents that are on the variables, and we will get x to the 3/2, y to the 7 halves. All right, 13 is done. One more for this lesson, number 25. 25, okay, find the equation of a line. Okay, this is really similar of that other one that we did. Okay, so let's see if we can speed this up. So we have 2 points. We need to know how to do this, guys. We've been doing this since Algebra 1. We're finding an equation of a line that goes through these points. Remember, you have y equals mx plus b. You need to find m and b. To find m, you use the slope formula. You subtract the y coordinates, 3 minus 2. You subtract the x coordinates, negative 5 minus 4. So you get 1 over negative 9. Okay, so now we need to find the b. So we pick any point. I tend to pick the positive one. So we get 2 equals negative 1/9 times 4 plus b. And so we're in ninths. So I'm just going to make this into 18/9. I like to do that. So it's going to be negative 4/9, and we're going to add it to that. So 4, so it's going to be 22/9 equals b. And we write it into the form y equals mx plus b. We have our m. You get your m by using the slope formula. You get your b by putting the point in with the slope. And so we write our equation y equals negative 1/9 x plus 22 over 9. If I did all that right. So yeah, okay. So that is it for lesson 49. Let's go to lesson 50. I sure hope people are watching this. Okay, lesson 50. Turn the page. A. Solve by completing the square. Okay, I was wondering when this was going to happen. X squared equals 9x minus 7. Okay, I'm sure I had a video on this. So what you want to do is first set it all equal to 0 because it's quadratic. When it's quadratic, it means the highest exponent is 2. You have to set it equal to 0. You want to make the x squared term positive. That's why I moved everything to the left. Okay, this is a messy one because it's not an even number here. That 7 is not a perfect square. It doesn't work. You can't factor it. So we're going to pop the 7 onto the other side. We're going to add something to both sides. We're going to find the value that makes it a perfect square trinomial. To do that, you take your 9, you divide it by 2, and then you square it. So that's going to be 81 over 4. You're going to do it to this side, 81 over 4. This is where you might want to use a calculator to add fractions. So this would factor into x minus 9 halves, x minus 9 halves. But we're just going to make it x minus 9 halves squared equals. So let's just do this. This is going to be 28/4. So 81 minus 28 is 53/4. These are not pretty. And then we're going to take the plus and minus square root of both sides. So we get x minus 9 halves. When you square a square root, it frees the square root. It frees the square. And then we get equals plus or minus the square root of 53 over 2. And then all we have to do is add 9 halves to both sides. So we get x equals 9 halves plus or minus the square root of 53 over 2. Yay! What a nice, comfortable answer. You can see you couldn't have factored that. We're going to learn another way to do these problems you'll like better, but for now, if you can't factor it, you have to solve it by completing the square. Okay, next. Oh, that was just A. Okay, 10. 10, 10, 10. Okay, this is really similar to the one that we already did. So we have parallel lines, right? And we have this transversal, which made a little triangle, and we have 120 degrees, right? And so this would be 60 degrees here. And so this angle in the triangle we're trying to solve for is 60. This is M, this is C, this is a right angle, and this is 10. They want us to find M and C. Well, C is easy to find because you have 90. 100 minus 90 is 90, minus 60 is 30. So C is just going to be equal to 30, and we just get that by subtracting off 60 and 90. We get the 60 by, these add up to 180, and these are corresponding angles. Okay, so now we're going to get M. So we get, that's going to be the opposite, and we have the adjacent. So that's going to be tangent. Remember, we have SO, which is opposite over hypotenuse, CA, which is adjacent over hypotenuse, and TOA, which is opposite over adjacent. So we have opposite, we have adjacent. We don't have the hypotenuse, so we're not going to use these two. So we would say the tangent of 60 degrees equals opposite, which is that one, over adjacent. You just pop this all in your calculator. You say tangent of 60 times 10, and you get M equals 17.32. Da-da. Okay, and, oh, we have two 26s. That's great. Okay, which one did I just do? I just did 10. So let's do 26, which is that crazy figure, right? Okay, really similar. You can do this two different ways. I have done it two different ways. So let's see, we have, it's like this, oops, and it's like this, and then it has this leany thing like that, and then it has a half circle again. Okay, two different ways to do this one. This is 5 and this is 10. So the way that we're going to do this, let's see, the more recent way I did it is I just made a line down here, and I made a little rectangle. This is going to be 5 this way and 5 this way, so that's 10 this way, so it's going to be 10 down here. They tell us that the whole bottom is 20, so this is 10 even though it doesn't look like in my drawing, and this is 10. So I am going to find the area of this square, which is going to be 10 squared, and subtract off of it pi r squared. That's the formula for a circle, right? But I'm going to divide it by 2 because it's a half a circle. And then I'm going to add on to it the area of the rectangle, which is, the triangle, which is 1/2 the base times the height. Okay, so this is going to be 100. This over here is going to be 100, right? Divided by 2 is going to be 50. And then we're going to subtract off 25 pi over 2. And believe it or not, oh, never mind. Okay, I didn't finish this one yet. Okay, so that is, that's just the area of the base. Okay, that's all we're doing right now. So the area of the base is going to be 150 minus 25 pi over 2. Messy as that. That's the area of the base. Now, what we want to find is they're giving us, in this problem, they're giving us the volume. So I'm going to have to move down. Hopefully I have more room. Okay, so we know that the volume of a, what is this? This is a prism. So volume equals base times height. The area of the base, it's the area of the base times the height. It's not just the, it's the area of the base times the height. Okay? So we know the area of the base, so we know the volume. The volume is 600 minus 50 pi. So the volume equals the area of the base, which is 150 minus 25. 25 pi over 2 times h. Whoops, that didn't come out right. Times h. So what I did was I figured these numbers out, I figured these numbers out and subtracted them on my calculator, and believe it or not, h comes out to be 4, and that's your answer, and it's in centimeters. So figure this out in your calculator, figure this out in your calculator, divide this by this to get h by itself, and you get 4 centimeters. It's crazy, it does work out. Okay, where did we leave off? We are on the last lesson, 51, number 25. All right, this old thing, right? Lesson 51, number 25. These are the kind of problems that I don't know why we have trouble with, but we have trouble with these. It's perpendicular to 3x plus 2y equals 5. Okay, so you want to write an equation of a line that goes through this point. It's perpendicular to this line. So we need to figure out the slope of this line by solving it for y and putting it in slope-intercept form. So we get y equals negative 3/2 x plus 5/2, right? Okay, now if you want the line that's perpendicular to a given line, you have to use the negative reciprocal. So now we're back to the kind of problems we did previously in this lesson. We have a point and we have a slope, so we're going to find our b. So we do our friend y equals mx plus b. We have our point, which is -2 for the y, and then we have our slope, which is 2/3, and our x is -4. We can't get by without using negatives this time. And that's going to be plus b. So this is going to be -8/3, so this is going to be -6/3, right? Plus 8/3, because it's -8/3 and I add it to both sides, equals b. So b equals 2/3. Write in an equation, y equals m, which is 2/3 x plus 2/3. And hopefully that is right. I did it really fast. So that is the equation of a line that's perpendicular to this line because it has a negative reciprocal, but it goes through this point. And that is how you get that. So, okay, that is it for all the problems. I think I did it in half an hour. All right, thanks for watching.